When I was a kid, my dad would read to me. One of my favorite books that he read to me was The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I love that mythical world of dragons and dwarves and elves and hobbits. I love that world of imagination. So you think I would be in a pretty good position to be a competitor on an internet quiz I saw the other day, where you were given a long list of names and you were invited to guess which one was a Tolkien character and which one was an antidepressant. So I'm going to give that list of names to you to see if you can guess which is which. Ozaphin, Virgil, Cerdon, Cledial, Desril, Edronax, Elendil, Elrond, Aristor, Escalith, Finarfin, Haldir, Minalcar, Nardil, Narmasil, Narva, Orofin, and Prothead. Can you guess which is which? Even though I've read those books many different times, I flunked the test. And while that test may tell you nothing about fantasy fiction, it does tell you that there are a lot of antidepressants out there. Indeed, every time I go onto the internet or I turn on the TV or I open a magazine, there are many advertisements for pharmaceutical products. And in Western culture, we often think of medicine equals pharmaceutical product. It seems like there's a pill for every problem, and medicine means a pill of some kind. But this is not the way Native Americans use that word medicine. Indeed, the indigenous people of this continent mean something much bigger and broader whenever they use the term good medicine. The statue behind me commemorates the Treaty of the Holston, signed in 1791, which reads, "There shall be perpetual peace and friendship between the citizens of the United States of America and the individuals comprising the whole Cherokee Nation of Indians." The statue is a reminder that the United States government does not always keep its promises. The Cherokee refer to their own traditional teachings as the good medicine way. And good medicine in this sense means more than just filling a prescription that you can take to a pharmacy. Good medicine is about how we live our whole lives. Good medicine is about the way we treat each other. Good medicine is about how we build community together. Good medicine is about our attitudes and our insights into the human condition. Good medicine is about our relationship not only to each other as human beings, but to all creatures, the two-legged, the four-legged, and the winged. Good medicine is about how we can bring peace and harmony to the world by restoring balance. Good medicine might involve simply practicing gratitude and saying thanks and being thankful when we wake up in the morning. Good medicine is remembering that all things are connected, that we can't harm another person without harming ourselves, that we cannot hurt the earth without harming ourselves. Good medicine is about how we show respect to each other. Good medicine is about not storing up our treasures on earth, not becoming possessive and grabby. Good medicine is about practicing silence and honoring other people's silence, respecting people's need for quiet and stillness in their lives, knowing that the wisest words come from that source of silence within us. Good medicine is about how we listen to each other before we act. Good medicine is about treating the earth as our mother, honoring her as an elder, showing her respect by cleaning the water and keeping clean air and doing efforts to take care of our mother. In other words, good medicine means more than picking up a prescription that we take to a pharmacy. Now, a pill might be a good form of medicine. It might be good medicine with a little g and a little m. But good medicine with a capital G and a capital M is about how we live our lives and whether or not we keep our promises. The Apostle Paul once wrote, "Welcome the stranger, for by so doing you may be entertaining angels unaware." Of course, the Apostle Paul was not known for being so welcoming to GLBT people, so he had something to learn from his own inner wisdom. In the Unitarian Universalist Church, we believe in welcoming wisdom from many different sources, including earth-centered traditions, which remind us to honor the sacred circle of life and respect the rhythms of nature in which we participate. This week, there was a historic decision made by the Supreme Court reaffirming federal civil rights for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people. So, happy Pride, y'all. Happy Pride. Or as Jametta Austin would say, joy. This is a time of celebration, and our church has a long historic commitment to equal rights for all people. You may not know it, but in 2015, after another Supreme Court decision, we hosted the first legal same-sex marriage in our sanctuary. Before that, we held illegal ones there. So we have a long tradition of affirming equal rights for all people. But what you may not know is before white people ever got here and before there was a Supreme Court, there was a lot of respect for the many different ways to be human among indigenous people. And in many ways, homophobia and transphobia are symptoms of what shamans might call white man's disease. Now, what is white man's disease? Let's borrow language from pharmaceutical advertising and say, symptoms might include the need to dominate and control other people, the desire to hoard, to accumulate more possessions than you can possibly use, the tendency to deify things and objectify people, to hurt other people and to hurt the earth under the mistaken illusion that somehow this might benefit myself. The tendency to talk and interrupt rather than sit in silence and wait for wisdom to emerge from stillness. The need to stay busy all the time instead of in a way that outruns that inner wisdom, instead of staying still and quiet and being in touch with our inner wisdom. The tendency to solve problems quickly and through force rather than through patience and persuasion. Earlier, a few weeks back, I heard on the radio that if you're shopping for groceries during the pandemic, that you should avoid the loud aisle, because where people are talking loudly, that's where the virus is spreading. And the Native American elders would reaffirm this. Avoid the loud aisle and go to the quiet and still aisle. That is the healthy place to be in a pandemic. It's a healthy place to be where there is stillness and quiet. White man's disease can infect even the most benevolent organizations, including the liberal Protestant tradition, of which Unitarian Universalism emerges. There was a Native American shaman who once said that liberal Protestants believe in establishing the kingdom of God on earth in which they will be prominent members. So there's still sometimes a little bit of ego mixed in our good works theology. So the symptoms of white man's disease might be possessed by any person of any color, of any culture, but there's a reason, historic reasons, why it has that name, white man's disease. You may not know this, but as the Black Lives Matter, there have been demonstrations all over the world. There's also a Red Lives Matter movement to honor the rights of indigenous people and to work for justice for indigenous people. And I mention this to say that when we say Black Lives Matter, or when we say Red Lives Matter, or when we say Happy Pride, y'all, we're not just making a political statement. We are practicing good medicine. The Cherokee and other indigenous people do not make a hard and fast distinction between the body and the spirit. And so good medicine is treating other people with respect. And good medicine in our time might involve wearing a face mask, or washing our hands, or keeping our social distance. Good medicine might involve reducing our carbon footprint, addressing our rampant consumerism, or our workaholism. Good medicine might involve showing and demonstrating that Black Lives Matter and Red Lives Matter, celebrating pride, is good medicine. Possibly because I grew up with my dad reading me the Lord of the Rings stories, I became something of an Anglophile. and I discovered the short stories of P.G. Wodehouse, stories that make me laugh, and I am not the only one. Jay McInerney, who wrote some very serious novels like Bright Lights, Big City, had this to say about P.G. Wodehouse. He wrote, "I was clinically depressed for most of 1999 and would turn to Wodehouse, possibly the funniest writer in the English language, for warding off my despair. It seemed to be more effective than any of the antidepressants I was taking." Now, maybe it's P.G. Wodehouse, or maybe it's J.R.R. Tolkien, or some other author, or some other artist, or some other activity that helps lift your spirits. But it's important to build into our lives good medicine. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "Without music, life would be a mistake." And I would add that without laughter, life would be a mistake. Without imagination, life would be a mistake. Without mythology, life would be a mistake. Without dragons and dwarves and elves and hobbits, life would be a mistake. Without creativity, life would be a mistake. Without Virgil and Minalcar and Finarfar, these are just some of the Lord of the Rings characters I actually got right on that quiz. Without these, life would be a mistake. So let's hold on to the things that lift our spirit. Let's hold on to the things that give us hope. Let's hold on to things that help sustain us in difficult times, because when we do this, we're not only practicing good coping mechanisms, we're doing something bigger and broader than that. We're practicing good medicine.